Oh, I'm awake. I'm awake. I'm awake. I'm awake.
Well, I hope so. It's not the morning anymore.
No, 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 no. No. Good morning, afternoon, evening, night. I don't know what time it is wherever you are.
Good day. Good
For
night.
for our friend Nolan, it's 5:05 or 5:01, no, 6:01 p.m. He's 5 hours ahead. Crazy, crazy man. It's evening time for him.
Almost dinner time.
Yeah, dinner time. Nolan, you gonna be eating pizza for dinner again today? I think that's what I'm gonna do. Some pizza for dinner. Oh, lordy. I'm 26 now, bro. How's that make you feel,
Getting
Dylan?
old.
It's just,
Like starting to not get carded when going to alcohol stores and
yeah,
getting alcohol
yeah.
anywhere. They just don't even look at the card anymore. They're just like, oh, okay.
To be fair, they stopped asking me about 2 years ago, but like I always have it on the table just in case. Uh, we went to TGI Fridays for my birthday yesterday, and we both had our IDs out on the table. Lady didn't even glance at them. Didn't even like we had them out ready. Nope. Didn't even want them. Didn't even look at them. She's like, "What do you want to
Yeah.
drink?" I was like, beer, please. I would like a beer." She said, "All right, got you." And looked at Dylan. He was like, Long Island." She goes, "You want the $3 one?" He goes, yeah." She goes, "Perfect," and walked away. And we just kind of look at each other like, "Oh no,
Yep.
oh no." Also got to start drinking at 16 legally. Nice. I got to start drinking at 8 illegally.
Hmm.
Probably sooner. I don't know if I told that story on stream, but I'll give a quick recap. My dad always let us drink from his cup. What we didn't know as children is that his cup was always a Pepsi and Jack, or Jack and Pepsi. Yeah. He doesn't do Jack and Coke. He's a Jack and Pepsi guy. Um, and so, like, as children, we just like drink from his cup, and we'd get tired really quick, and we never found out why. We just thought like we were just rambunctious little kids. Wrong. We were drunk. But yeah. Thanks, Dad. You're a good guy.
Hmm.
Appreciate you. Dylan, do you remember your first beer? You know, it's probably like with your dad or with a father figure of some sort. Do you remember? You remember what that experience was like for you?
I think the first time I drank alcohol, I was like probably 13, I want to say, 13 or 14.
Uh,
And it was out of a it was from my uncle cuz it was my cousin's wedding at the time.
mm,
And my younger cousin got a beer
mm.
from my uncle, and then we kind of shared that, and then we did this really awful thing where we put it in a spray bottle and sprayed it into our mouths for some
Oh
reason,
no! Instantly flat.
and that was, yeah, that was gross. Never do that.
uh,
Um, and that was my first experience with alcoholic beverages.
my
I may
first.
have had my my dad has never, well, ever since I was born anyway, he's never been a big alcohol. I've never seen him drink, so
Mhm.
he's so it had to come from my uncle. So,
Yeah, my first beer with my dad, my biological father. I remember it like it was yesterday. We're in his garage, which he converted into a bar for him and his friends and whatnot. And so I'm sitting in there, and his friends are all rowdy and drunk, and my dad's had a few, and I'm looking all sad, drinking on a cherry coke or a knockoff version of cherry coke. And he looks at me. He goes, "You want a beer?" I'm like, "Kinda." He goes, "If I give it to you, you gotta drink it." He's like, "No wasting beer. That's alcohol abuse. It can't defend itself." I'm like, "All right, Dad. I'll drink the beer." And so he hands me a Coors Light, because that's what he drank at the time. And they slid it across the bar, and I opened it and I took my first sip, and my brain goes, "Wow, that's awful." And
Yep.
he looked at me. He goes, "How's it taste?" I'm like, "It's okay." And I drink it a little bit more, and I'm like, "I'm part of the fun now." And yeah,
Yeah, I recall in my Spanish class in high school, our Spanish teacher, she's from I think she was from Colombia,
Mm.
and she went to Colombia to visit her sister and came back and brought some like Colombian stuff,
Mm.
like just like snacks and drinks and stuff.
Yeah.
And one of the drinks she got was like a non-alcoholic beer, and she let everyone try it. And that was the nastiest shit. Like I was like, why would you drink this if you can't get drunk from it? Why would you drink it just for the flavor? Makes
Yeah,
no fucking sense.
yeah. We can actually get that here in town. One of the local Asian markets sell it. It's I think the name brand is called Bolivria, something along those lines. Beer, American beer, like your domestic beer, is around 5%.
Yeah, and then like I have this Bavarian stout
Mm.
that's 11%, so there's a
Like I
huge
said,
difference.
domestic.
Yeah, a huge difference between American and European.
Now your like craft beers and IPA will probably be a little bit higher than that, around the 10 percentile, or but most domestic beers are around 5%, unless you're drinking Ham's Light, or sorry, Ham's Special Light, in which case you're just drinking water. So
Mm, yep, it's water with a little spritz of alcohol.
beer that's 13% in my fridge. Nice, dude.
Nice.
Beer is tasty. I like beer. I've yet to have a bad tasting beer, but I've had plenty of terrible IPAs because I'm not a
Mm,
huge fan of hops. Um,
yeah, me
just
too.
overpowering pine taste kind of just gives me lockjaw. Makes my ears feel weird, So I don't really drink too much of that. But anyway, yesterday was my birthday. We went out, we had a good time. We watched John Wick 4, which
Oh
kind
yeah.
of inspired today's theme, which is action movies.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I'm excited. We got a decent amount of stuff to talk about here. Hopefully we can fit it all in.
Yeah,
Um,
the list kind of got out of control a little bit
yeah,
as we
well,
were brainstorming.
it's a good process. We don't have to hit everything on the list, but it's nice to have something on there. I prefer a double or triple beer, or Fallbach. I'm not sure what a Fallbach is, nor have I ever heard of
Yeah.
a. If you're talking like a bigger can of beer for a double or triple, I kind of understand. But if it's if it's like a stronger beer, I am unfamiliar with that terminology.
Yeah, I've never heard of that before. Oh, it's a brewing method. Okay. Well,
Oh,
there is like a million different types of like there's like a lager
lager, yeah.
and then ale are the two like big categories, and there's a ton of
Hmm.
like subcategories within those. There's a lot to beer, like more than just like gonna give me a light beer right here, you know?
Yeah,
There's a lot more to it.
if I'm drinking a lager, it's gonna be Samuel Adams Oktoberfest. That has to
Oh,
be my favorite
that is a
lager.
good. That is good. That is a good one.
I get it
Um,
all the time.
yeah, if I'm just sipping though, I usually prefer a hard cider, like Angry Orchard. It's only like 5% alcohol, just like every like kind of sipping drink here in the U.S. But
If I'm drinking Angry
pretty good.
Orchard, if I'm drinking any type of ale, right? Any like kind of apple ale, right? I or hard cider. Sorry, if I'm drinking a hard cider, it's it's really got to be no other flavorings with it. Like they've got like that cinnamon apple stuff and junk like that. I can't stand it. Hey, trash puppy. Good
Yeah, you gotta go with the
morning.
crisp apple, which is
Yeah.
you
Hey,
just
Amadori. Look at those two
standard
cuties in
cider.
here. We got a lot of cuties in chat today. Um, yeah,
Ooh,
yeah.
honey.
Crisp apple is the one that I normally go for if I'm gonna drink a hard cider. When I was in Washington D.C., for Otakon. Uh, fuck, was it called? It's like Wendell hard cider or something like that. It's got
Mm.
like a fox on it. Um, I'll look it up later. I'm not cute. I'm a big boy. Nah, you're. I mean, you are a big boy. Don't get it wrong. You're our big boy, but you're a cute big boy. We love you very much so, and especially since we can't dislike you, since you literally have given our channel 99% of all of its subscribers.
Yeah, you're currently paying our salaries.
But let's get into action movies. I gotta tell you, the genre is it's a weird art form in today's modern standards. I feel like action movies today, there's only a few gems that really stick out and are like
Mm.
good action movies, but like the 80s I feel like is where like action movies really took their form with like Demolition Man or Die Hard, like those were the action movies that people look back to. And now we have just a modge podge of everything. And to me, it's hard to find a good movie um, with a decent enough plot or decent enough action to make up for the plot. I feel like a lot of the times just really poor writing or really poor directing. Um, I have a hard time blaming. I have a hard time blaming actors, because they're just acting the way that they're directed, right? Half the time, that's just what's going on. So, if you see a bad actor, 90% of the time, it's because it's a bad directing of the film and the
Mm.
character, not so much the actor. The Equalizer is cool. I don't know if I've watched The Equalizer. That's the one with is that Denzel Washington? Is that
I think so. I think I have like seen parts of it. I don't know if I've watched the whole movie.
It's got a sequel, right? I yeah, I think there's a sequel to it. Um, but you know, there's a couple of good movies out there,
Mm.
and personally, I think the John Wick series is the embodiment of what action movies should be. Practically nonstop action with a little bit of story in there. Um, and yeah, uh, I don't feel like there's been quite as good of an action movie series as John Wick. A lot of the times you'll just get like the solo movies, and those are fine. But for action movie series, normally they just get worse as they go on. And John Wick is a testament that they don't have to, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
It's truly and honestly stayed around the same level of awesomeness with every movie that they drop. And I can't get enough.
Yeah, I
Um,
would argue that chapter 3 and chapter 4 are probably like the best out
mm,
of all of them.
I agree. The third one was pretty damn good. Still really
Mm.
sad about Lance Reddick. Yeah, yep. There were at the end of John Wick 4, they had a little in memory of, um, but it the movie is kind of weird. How I don't want to do any spoilers of the fourth movie, but I will say that I thought it was kind of weird at the beginning of the movie how it kind of mirrored real life, considering Lance Reddick's life.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, that's weird. But he a wonderful actor, and he will never be replaced. And he holds a torch that can never truly be outshone for the roles that he has played, in really any movie or in any type of acting scenario that he was in. Yeah, he was in Destiny 2, and
Yep.
Destiny 2 players were holding memoriams for the guy. You know, it's a real tight knit community that fans and followers that enjoyed that man's work. So
Commander Zavala.
it's may he rest
Whether
in
we
peace.
wanted it or not, we're at war with the Cabal.
That's right.
It was iconic.
But let's jump a little bit into the John Wick series, right? I'll give you a quick overview. John Wick 1, absolutely fantastic movie. We're introduced into the man, the myth, the legend, the Baba Yaga, right? This almost man of supernatural presence, among the hitman community, for a lack of better terms. And he's gotten out of the society that runs the kind of underworld, and he gets drawn back into it because someone kills his dog and steals his car. And so we're shown, that this lovely house guy is more than just a lovely house guy. He knows a whole lot more, and he has ties to these underground stuff that we are unknowing to in like real society. It's supposed to take action in like today's world sort of scenario. So there's underground stuff that's happening around us that we don't even know about. And that movie ends with him returning home. And the second movie comes around. We think that John Wick is done, and somebody from his past visit him. He's like, "Yo, John, I need you back in the game." John's like, "I don't want to be back in the game." He goes, "Well, you have to. You made a promise. They have these things called markers, and you make a blood promise, so on and so forth." So John Wick has to do this thing. He does this thing, and then his motivation is killing the guy that made him get back into the swing of things. And he ends up killing the guy, and to do so, he breaks the underground code, right? So then he becomes a fugitive amongst criminals. And so that's the third movie. And so the third movie is John's redemption to getting back into the society. Hey, thanks for the sub. Appreciate you. So John goes through trials and tribulations to get back into the community, to stop being a fugitive and an exile. And he does that, and then he goes back just to be a fugitive again. He's like, "You know what? Let's turn over the tables." And so they do. And that's where the fourth movie starts, is that he's a fugitive again, but instead of getting rid of his fugitive status, he wants to make an example. And so his goal is to finally break free and to practically be done with being known as John Wick, but being known as John Wick, the loving husband. And I won't go too much further into John Wick 4. If you haven't had the chance to see it yet, it's only been out one day. Well, I guess it's been out 2 days.
Yeah, it was Thursday was when it was first
Yeah. Well, it said that it was
available to
coming out
watch.
March 24th, and that Thursday was March 23rd. But anyway, so that's his motivation, is to kind of get rid of his status as the Baba Yaga. And I feel like he does so significantly well. I thought John Wick was a very good movie series. And through all of the movies, Dylan, I'm pretty sure you could agree that while watching the movie, the one thing that is said most often is, "Ooh!"
Yeah, the fight scenes are like really well choreographed, which I think really makes John Wick stick out as a action movie, is because how well put together the fight scenes are, and like the kind of stuff they do to people during these fight scenes. Like there's some real like, ah man, that
That had to
that
have
must
hurt.
be that must have hurt real bad.
I,
I think every time John Wick falls off of a tall thing, he has
Oh,
to hit
yeah.
a few other things along the way. It's like,
Ugh.
oh man.
I think.
Lots of people getting hit by cars too.
Oh yeah, yeah. Specifically in John Wick 4, there was a gratuitous amount of that. I will have to say though, I think John Wick. I'd probably say John Wick 3 probably has more things that kind of like cringe pain. You know, like you see them do something, you're like, ugh, I didn't like that. Oh yeah, ooh, I wish I didn't see that. I think John Wick 3 had more of that, but I will say that there was a pretty grotesque scene in John Wick 4 where both like they set it up and they're just kind of like waiting for this guy to decide, and me and Dylan look at each other like, nope, and then he starts doing it, and you just hear the whole theater audience just go, oh god,
that was bad. That was real bad to watch. That was painful to watch.
But it's like, oh yeah, that's yep, this, yeah, oh, okay.
Yeah, I think everyone's squeamish about stuff like that. That was rough.
It was not so great. Actually, I want to mention something. There was a preview before the movie started for this movie called The Pope's Exorcist, and that trailer had some pretty. The Pope's Exorcist, which had some pretty interesting, grotesque scenes on it. You're like, oh, that's not good. But then, for anyone who doesn't know, they are doing an Evil Dead sequel called Evil Dead Rises. And if you don't know anything about Evil Dead, then I think we just hit an ad. I'm sorry. If you don't know anything about Evil Dead, they're kind of known for being like gory and whatnot. But this new one that's coming out, you just see one scene that really got, I think, both me and Dylan, is this lady is like sitting on the floor and like this kid's possessed, and he grabs a cheese grater that's on the ground, and you just see him like put it on the chick's leg, and then it cuts the scene, and we're like, oh no.
Yeah, some grated leg.
I don't know if you've ever been grating potatoes before or cheese or what have you. I've nicked my knuckle while grating potatoes.
Oh, yeah.
And that's like
painful.
Yeah, you're always like, oh, owie.
It's tender.
Yeah, but John Wick, full of just a bunch of fucking action-packed scenes. And though the motivation is not strong to the viewer, it's strong to John Wick's character. And so it doesn't have to be like, oh, I'm trying to save the world. The dude wants out, and his original motivation was practically avenging the life that he was living that got interrupted. And it's history from there. A Korean film, which I like to call Korean John Wick, is called A Company Man. And it's kind of the same idea. There's this company that fronts as a metal manufacturer, but in reality does hits, assassinations. And this guy has been in it for X amount of time, and he starts having ideas of life outside of the company. And it becomes practically John Wick. He wants to get out, and so he goes on this tyrant of trying to get out. And it's A Company Man is like all of the John Wick movies, 1 through 4, shoved into about 2 hours. And it's a really good movie. If you haven't seen A Company Man, you should watch it. While we were in theater, we saw another preview.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure everyone is familiar with this series because it's been around since I think we were all little kids, unless you're like 50, I guess. Unless you're Richard. And this series is called Fast and the Furious. Started off as like a racing thing, and then kind of branched off into, I don't even know what it is anymore, really. Like they try to do some racing, but
now it's just action and cars. Yeah, the first movie is like, okay, Fast and Furious. We have an undercover cop who's trying to like reveal who is doing all of these street races and like do that, right? I haven't watched anything past, I think, Fast and Furious 2. I got really tired of the Fast and Furious movies really, really quick. And to be honest with you, I didn't even know that they did the Fast and Furious 6 through 9. And when I saw Fast and Furious X, I'm like, what are they doing? What on earth could they possibly be doing? And they have a wild cast. They got Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, John Cena. I mean, Vin Diesel's been there since the beginning. Jason Statham. Like, all of these fucking, like, top, well, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and John Cena, I won't say are top tier action stars, but like they've got like these kind of AAA names in this fucking film series, and they're like, yeah, sure, people love it. People love cars. I get it. I love cars, but if I'm gonna be honest with you, if I'm gonna watch a action movie about cars, I'm probably gonna watch Gone in 60 Seconds with Nicolas Cage.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a... Yeah, I know. There's like this scene
Oh my
from the
God.
trailer where Vin Diesel's character is driving his like Mustang or whatever it is, and some muscle car, and he's on a highway, and two helicopters spear his vehicle and start trying to lift him up, and he jumps off of the freeway onto a lower level, and he brings down the helicopters, and they smash into each other. It's like, bruh.
Yeah, he
How is that even...
activates his nitrous, and like that supposedly gives enough force for the helicopter. Two helicopters are not going to get taken down by a motherfucking car.
He's got gravity control on his car. It wouldn't surprise me, honestly, with how ridiculous those movies get.
Oh my God.
So it's just funny how crazy it is. It's
And like Vin Diesel's like, I'll keep making Fast and Furious movies. Don't. Stop making Fast and Furious movies. You should have ended that series with Fast and Furious 3, and I didn't even fucking watch that one.
Yeah, I think the last one I actually watched was 4, Fast and Furious 4. And then I've seen like parts of like Tokyo Drift, whichever one that was.
It's Tokyo Drift, I think, is its own series, is it not?
Is it really? I thought it was part of Fast and Furious.
Oh, no, that's Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. Is that the second one? It's a standalone sequel to Fast and Furious and Fast and Furious 2.
Okay.
So it's in the timeline, but it's a separate pathway. So it exists at the same time as like Fast and Furious 3. Sort of.
Anyway, there's too many of them. It's hard to.
I like
track.
Tokyo Drift. I've actually watched Tokyo Drift. It's significantly better, in my opinion. I like that storyline more. Japanese. To be fair, Japanese car racing has always been an interest of mine. I like the way that they like soup up the cars and whatnot. If anyone remembers that movie, that's actually the one with like the Kia Soul or the Kia Element or something. It's like it's a box car, right? And it's got like the Hulk punching through the side door. I thought that was a cool mod. Silly old car mod, but whatever. Fast and Furious needs to stop. Just quit.
And then while we're talking about racing action movies, there's also that Death Race movie. That one was interesting. Was there more than one? Really?
Yeah, I think there's 3 Death Race movies.
Huh. I always thought there was only one.
The first Death Race, fantastic. It's fine.
Yeah, with the guns on the cars and stuff. Reminds me a lot of like Twisted Metal, that old PlayStation game.
Yeah,
series.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was based off of. What is the... Oh, God, I was wrong. There's 4 Death Race movies.
Dang, I have been out of the loop on that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I've only watched the first one.
It's Death Race 2, Death Race 3, Inferno, and Death Race Beyond Anarchy. But yeah, it's... there's... Okay, hold on. This says all 6 Death Race movies in order.
Damn, they... What is with racing action movies and just making a million of them.
Oh. So there's Death Race 2000, which was made in 1975, and then Death Race 2008, Death Race 2, 2010, Death Race 3, Inferno, which was made in 2013, Death Race 2050, and Death Race Beyond Anarchy. So Death Race 2000 and Death Race 2050 are the same continuity, and Death Race 1, 2, 3, and Beyond Anarchy are in the same continuity. So weird. And that's got Jason Statham in there too, so whatever the fuck. Jason Statham, though. Let's talk about him. He's in a lot of action movies. I'm not going to name all of them, but he was in a interesting take on action movies, probably one of the first of its kind. If I do remember, I think it was, I don't think it was an indie film, but one of the smaller film companies that made it. The Crank series. Jason Statham is in the Crank series. And those movies are fucking weird, dude. Like, are they fun to watch? Sort of. But they're weird. So the storyline behind Crank is that this dude gets like kidnapped or whatever. Like the first one, they like threaten his girlfriend or something, or his wife. I can't remember what her relationship is, but they are in a relationship of some sort. And the dude has a bomb planted in him. And the only way to keep the bomb from exploding is for him to have his adrenaline pumping. And in every movie, they find a way for him to have sex in like the most weird place to have sex in. I think in Crank 2, he has sex on like a speedway, like cars actively racing around him, and like the crowd's losing it. And I'm not a big fan of sex scenes in movies anyway. So
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's always
yeah,
weird.
I was like, that's kind of weird, but whatever. But it's supposed to be like more of a humorous action film, and it's interesting. I will give it that. It's a different take. I don't prefer it. I think the action scenes are fine, but Crank's not the best one. Dylan, how about you go ahead and talk about the one that I don't know?
So there's this movie on, believe it was on Netflix. It came out in like 2021-ish. It's called Nobody. And it's if I remember correctly, it's about this like CIA hitman spy duder. And he's retired. He has a family. He's just a family man. And he's on like a bus, just chilling, mind his own business, going home for the day, and this like gang of people are picking on this woman on the bus, and he stands up for her and beats everyone up just in typical action movie
Sorry about the background
style.
noise.
That's kind and during this fight, he gets the shit beat out of him. Like he gets knocked down, and the people he was fighting think they won, so they walk off, but he just keeps getting back up. And that's something I loved about that movie, is that this guy, he's not a superhero. He doesn't just 1v9 everyone every time, you know. He takes a few hits, he gets knocked down, but he always gets back up. And it really has you like cheering him on every fight, because he just about squeaks out that victory in every fight, and it just really makes you cheer for him. And it's really unique, because I feel like in a lot of action movies the protagonist is always like this super soldier who can just annihilate entire like brigades of people and stuff, you know, like
Yeah.
hundreds of people, and only taking a few hits. And yeah, the main character in Nobody, he's good, you know, he wins his fights. He struggles along the way, and he gets knocked down a few times.
Yeah, more
And it's
realistic
really,
fighter.
yes, it's a lot more realistic. and it's really good. It's I think it's on Netflix. It's just one movie, and it's a very good one. It's definitely a very refreshing take on action, and it's got a pretty decent story too. So it's definitely worth a watch, I think. If
Yeah.
you haven't seen it yet.
Um, Personally, everyone's always like on that power trip stuff, but I am a fan of like watching someone who's like not got anything going on for them, kind of like learning to become that person of fighting expertise sort of scenario as you like see them improve as it goes on. Um,
Y yes, yeah, you are correct, Nolan. It's Bob Odenkirk is his name,
yeah.
the
Um,
actor.
another movie series kind of long, the realistic action movie stuff. Not super realistic, but sort of. The Kick-Ass series. I remember when Kick-Ass first came out, which was an interesting take on like the superhero stuff. And man, I thought it was fantastic watching this guy wanting to be a superhero, wanting to be better, wanting to do better for his city, and just getting the absolute shit kicked out of him. He's got two nightsticks. He's wearing a fucking a diving suit, a scuba suit, yeah, whatever the hell it's called, and it's just getting the piss straight up fucked out of him. And like he comes across like this dude and his daughter who like actually have been fighting for a little bit, but even then, like they're not the best as well. Like humans make mistakes, and it's really prevalent. And I thought both of the movies were pretty good. Um, and you know, Crank is like a comedic take on action movies, but in its own kind of like sexual way, whereas Kick Ass is like a comedy action film that's like, yeah, these guys don't really know what they're doing, so they're gonna get into some hijinks. Um,
Hmm.
and I think the weirdest, or sorry, the most fucked up thing that I remember from Kick Ass, the first movie, is where they put the dude in like the lumber microwave that's like used to like
Oh,
dry out. I was like, oh
yeah.
no. I thought that was a pretty dope scene, and stuff like that. Our last interesting take on action movies was made by an indie developer. And the premise about it was like, what if we did a movie from a POV point of view? And from that, you might have guessed the movie is Hardcore Henry. Now, I'm going to be honest, I'm not a super big fan of Hardcore Henry. I thought the action was okay. The point of view stuff is whatever. I know what they were going for, but personally, it's not my type of movie. I don't think Dylan's watched it before. Is it worth
Isn't
a
that
watch?
first person uh the first person
Yeah, he's
movie?
yeah, it's like in Russia, whatever. Like this dude is like an experiment or something rather. Um, yeah, it's like if a video game um was a movie practically is it was the
Hmm.
kind of the take. Um, it's a cool idea. I think it was well executed. It's just not one of my favorites. The entire time I was like, yeah, this is a movie. It's not a bad one, but this is pretty all right. It's not
Yeah, it's a
terrible.
very interesting take. I'm sure it took a lot of work to make a movie
It was
in that
definitely,
format.
yeah, it was definitely innovative. I will say that much. In fact, I do believe they won a couple of awards for how they made that movie possible. So, it's got respect in its own right. And it's not a terrible film. If you haven't watched Hardcore Henry, you should. You should at least get that experience under your belt, and you might have a new favorite action movie. But I don't have much more to say about Hardcore Henry besides it was a movie and it was pretty okay.
It was unique. It was
hmm
very unique.
Um, let's talk about another series. Let's talk about a series that also has some comedic takes on it, but
Mm.
There's a dog barking outside.
I hear that.
But kind of made its own within the secret agent kind of genre as well. I'm talking about the Kingsman series. I remember when the first Kingsman movie came out, me and Dylan went and watched it. I think a couple of our other friends were there as well. That movie was fucking awesome.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was like super hype. That was a really good movie when it first came out.
And
I
that was
enjoyed it a lot.
Tom. Is that Tom Holland in that?
No,
no.
no.
It's a Tom Holland look-alike.
He's British.
Let me Google who the hell the main character is in Kingsman. I always get those two confused.
Ooh.
That's a great question. Who is it? Jesus Christ.
Well, there's a lot of characters in that. Well, Colin Firth is the main, the older gentleman.
Yeah.
Was it Taron Egerton? He played Gary Eggsy. No, maybe that wasn't right. Oh yeah, I forgot Samuel Jackson.
It is
was
in
in that
fact
movie.
it is Taron Egerton.
Okay.
What a villain Samuel L. Jackson played, dude.
Yeah,
Taron Egerton has aged a fuck ton.
I know. Yeah, I barely recognized him. Like, man, he looked like he was early 20s when he first did the first movie. How long ago was the first movie?
I don't want to think about it, but I will tell you. 2014.
Okay. Yeah, I guess enough time has passed for him to age a little bit.
Just a little. Almost 10 years.
Almost. But yeah, it was a good movie. I particularly liked because this was when adding kind of comedy to action-y movies was still a popular thing because Marvel was doing it a lot and stuff. And it was always fun to see that kind of stuff. And this was the first time it was really used in a more hardcore action type movie. It is a spy movie, but I feel like it has a lot more killing in it than your typical spy movie. So
I think The Kingsman is a perfect blend of like James Bond and Austin Powers. You know, James Bond is a very serious, very straight to the point kind of spy movie, and then you have Austin Powers, which literally is parodying everything that happens in James Bond, and like it's just always like a funny joke and stuff like that. And then you have The Kingsman, which is like, yeah, the action is serious, but there's a lot of funny motivation that happens from time to time. And I think The Kingsman's really good. I like the first movie. I like the second movie. Which is, a second movie, a character returns practically from the dead, and you're like, yes,
yeah,
he's
that was
alive.
cool. And the third movie is a little bit more dramatic. I feel a little less comedy.
Yes and no. I feel like the scenes that are comedic are way more exaggerated though, so like it still has that same level of comedy. And that's the third movie is actually a prequel movie to the first two, which is the origin of the Kingsmen, and they go against Vlad the Impaler, not Vlad the Impaler, but Vladimir. Actually, I think it is Vlad the Impaler. The dude does magic and whatnot. Pretty sure it's Vlad the Impaler. It's really funny.
It is. It's he's good. He's very good. There was that one guy who was like afraid of heights or something, and the place they're attacking is like on top of the mountain and stuff. That's pretty funny.
You telling me we have to go up there? Yeah. Not only do you have to go up there, you have to climb the cliffside too. Shit.
It's good. It's all three of those movies are good. I would, if you haven't seen any of them, definitely recommend going back and seeing them. They are on Netflix, I believe.
I think so. You did talk about Marvel movies. I want to touch on those for a second.
For a split second.
I am so tired of Marvel films doing all this comedic junk on everything that is not Guardians of the Galaxy, right?
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy was meant to be like the lighthearted superhero sci-fi movie, and it does that perfect. You got a hodgepodge group of people, and they're funny because that's what their characters are. They kind of don't mash up well, but somehow they make it work. And then you have Thor. And the first Thor movie was kind of broody and
okay.
gritty. You know, it wasn't too hype on the funny stuff. But then as the Thor movies continue, and as the Avenger movies continue, you get more and more of this comedy stuff. And it, to me, it's not done in the right way, or the film is not set up for that sort of thing. And it gets worse. Iron Man, it has a good balance because the dude's a narcissist. So like the shit that he says sometimes, or like watching him become more human, you know, instead of being like, oh, I'm the smartest man in the world. Like watching him get humbled is funny, and that works. But
Yeah.
I like, I can't remember the full name, but like the Six Rings movie, there's some comedy in that doesn't truly work out too well with me. Fucking the Mandarin. I'm not a big fan of the Mandarin character. Just what they've done with him, or the stand-in for the Mandarin. If you've watched the movies, you'll understand what that means. But he makes an appearance in the Six Rings. I'm like, why?
It's Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings. Is what you're thinking of, not Six Rings.
Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings. It doesn't work. It doesn't sit well in there. The new Thor movie, okay, it's actually kind of, the storyline is pretty serious, but they take away so much of the fucking story and so much of what's happened to Thor up until that was like, oh, it's lighthearted. Oh, you know, whatever. Like, was Fat Thor funny in whatever Avengers movie that was? Yeah. It's kind of like the human side of him, but then they kind of just keep relying on that, and it's not good. Like it's not a fun movie. To me, it's in the beginning of the new Thor. They set it up to be kind of like a somewhat serious plot where like there's this dude who can kill gods, which is kind of serious, and there's like, oh, fun, lighthearted. Here's lots of funny scenes. You know.
Yeah, I know. And like the guy, his like daughter dies and stuff, like super sad. Like his motivations for wanting to kill the gods is like super sad and tragic, and then they make him out to be kind of a fucking joke by the end, you know?
Yeah, or I'm gonna call it this. It's not what it really is, but the Sex and the City scene, where it's like, oh, it goes all monochrome. That cinematography is fantastic. Sadly, it's fucking ruined because there's no like true moral consequences to this fight that they're having. And it's all kind of just like whatever. And then like the end happens and you see the results and you're like, oh, this sucks. Whatever. Marvel needs to cut out the comedy on everything. They need to stop trying to be funny because they're not funny.
Yeah, they do a little too much comedy, and I feel like it, especially in like stories that are a bit more emotional, it really messes up that vibe, you know? Because like it cuts you out of that mood of, oh, I'm gonna cry because this is super sad or whatever, and then they tell like 40 jokes in the next 20 minutes. And it just ruins it. It ruins the mood, and it really messes up a lot of these stories because of that.
Movies are funny because characters are meant to be funny. Deadpool, for example, that's his whole fucking get. The dude's a psychopath, right? Deadpool's fine. Deadpool's meant to be funny.
He's supposed to be funny.
But also, Deadpool's fucking action scenes are next fucking level, dude.
Oh yeah.
Spider-Man, it's a fucking high schooler. Of course the kid's he's gonna do some shit that's funny, or
He's a dorky kid.
comedic in some sort of way. That's his character. That's what he's meant to. Thor is a literal fucking god who, like, he's meant to be godly, and they just kind of throw it out the window because he's a sad slope. Or it's like, oh, it'd be funny if Thor started meditating and shit. It's not funny.
Let's
But
make this literal god pathetic in every way.
Uh,
That would be funny.
fucking even Guardians of the Galaxy now is more serious than the fucking Thor movies, which blows my fucking mind.
Yeah. Yeah, Volume 2 was, there was some very, like, serious scenes.
Volume 2 was a masterpiece, except for Howard the fucking Duck. If they bring that motherfucker back, I swear to God, I will go on a rampage. It's okay to be comedic as long as it fits within the character bounds. You can have a Thor movie with funny stuff as long as the funniness matches the character. Thor doesn't have to be the person that is funny. It doesn't have to be like that. You don't
It's
have
weird.
to. You don't have to adjust his character that way. He's funny. The Rock dude in Thor, like Thor Ragnarok, I think is where the Rock dude is introduced.
Yeah.
That's cool, right? But Thor's humor is like, oh, I'm gonna fight the Hulk. That's funny, right? Because you have two fucking knuckleheads here who just want to test their strength, and they start beating the shit out of each other. That's funny. Loki, his funniness is kind of just causing some hijinks here and there, and the way he goes about causing the hijinks. That's
He's
funny.
kind of similar in comedy to man. Oh, we got another ad. To like Iron Man, because he's a huge narcissist.
Yeah, it matches these characters, but like, don't go altering the character so much that it detracts from the character. The Black Widow movie, right? She doesn't attempt to be funny in that movie at all. She relies on her fucking supporting characters to be funny, and the Russian super soldier whose names that I fucking forget off the top of my head.
It's like
Fantastic.
Red Death or something, I don't know.
Yeah. He's absolutely fantastic. He plays that character so damn good. It's stupid. And it's great. That movie, I mean, it's not a 10 out of 10 movie, but it's still a good movie, and they do the comedy right. But enough about that. I'm tired of talking about Marvel. Sorry that I brought it up. It was on the back of my mind, and Thor really pisses me off as a movie series, and I'm not even going to talk about She-Hulk.
His name was the Red Guardian was his name.
Yeah, the Red Guardian does a
the-
really good job.
Yeah, that was a good character. I liked him.
Let's talk about another movie that Dylan hasn't seen yet. I'm going to make sure he sees it, though, because it's actually pretty good. I am not a super big fan of all Kevin Hart's work, but I will say that I do enjoy some of Kevin Hart's work. Some of it's done really, really well. And I will say that I really enjoy Woody Harrelson. In fact, I don't think I've watched a movie that has Woody Harrelson in it that I've disliked. Zombieland is a great example of an action movie. It's a little bit different, but it's quirky in its own way, and it does its job really, really well. But these two combined, you get the movie The Man from Toronto, which is a comedic action, and at times you're like, holy shit, that's really fucking cringy. Cringy kind of like, not in a bad way, but like you see something happen, you cringe at it, you're like, oh, kind of like what we were talking about in John Wick. The Man from Toronto is a damn good movie, well executed, plenty of comedic scenes because you have fucking Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart is a comedic character, and every time that he's in a movie, you can expect him to play a comedic character. And Woody Harrelson does both. Woody Harrelson has been in comedies, and he has been in serious films. And his character that he plays in here is a nice mix between the two, where you have Kevin Hart, who is mistaken for a world-renowned hitman, pairing up with the person he is imitating, practically, or that he's forced to be imitating. And you have Woody Harrelson, who's having to deal with this guy who knows nothing about it, but has to work with him because his face has been seen, and so he has to act as the man from Toronto. So Woody Harrelson's training Kevin Hart to be him in some sort of way, and like you kind of watch him like struggle with accepting that this guy has no idea what the fuck he's doing and like ruining his reputation as a man from Toronto. It's a good movie. They even have like a, I don't know if this term means anything to anyone but Dylan in our friend group, but there's a third hitman that joins the movie, and he's a dude, bro. And he's called the Man from Miami, and he's got a golf club that like he uses that turns into like a gun. It's fucking weird. I don't know. If you haven't seen The Man from Toronto, it's on Netflix. You should watch it. It's a pretty good action comedy film. And there's not much more that I want to say about that. Kevin Hart, Woody Harrelson. It's a good cast, and it runs pretty okay. Dylan, any other action movies that come to mind that you want to talk about?
Well, I mean, there's hundreds of like kung fu action movies we could talk about.
I want to save those specifically
Yeah, but
for their own thing.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, there's so many of those, and there's so many like amazing kung fu movies that we need to devote an entire episode to that.
If we talk about those, you can almost guarantee that the two top kind of movie things that are happening is Jackie Chan movies, 100%, and the Ip Man series, and it's Donnie Wu. Is that his last name? The guy who plays Ip Man. So. The guy who plays Ip Man is in fact in John Wick 4. He plays a blind character, and they execute it so fucking good. A lot of praise for your songs last night. Hey, good to hear. I wasn't able to catch it last night. I was in VC. There was a thing that had happened in the Discord that I had to take care of and do investigation into. So, not a huge deal. It says that we have
drama.
It says that we have 21 dropped frames, but I don't know if that actually means anything since we're not doing
frames
whatever.
Dropping.
Yeah, whatever. Who cares? Made them listen. Well, I'm glad they enjoyed it. Hopefully someone was there to do my command or whatever to get my socials out there. If not, no big deal. I'll be there eventually and put it in there myself. I know Richard was there last night, or not last night, but maybe the night before. And he thought that your exercise thing was pretty cool that you do. He really respected that. So, we've got our follower goal in the top right, 75 followers. As soon as we hit that, we might do a subscriber goal. I don't know if I want to do something like that. Subscribers are nice, but I understand that not everybody can afford to subscribe to the channel.
And half that money just goes straight to Twitch anyway, so.
Yeah, I'm not going to make a big thing about subscribers. Do we like subscribers? Yes, we love our subscribers, especially Nolan. He's a good guy. He makes everything awesome and happy. If you decide that you want to subscribe with Prime, by all means, subscribe with Prime. That is a more affordable way to do it.
Yeah, no cost to you, and it gives us a little bit of incentive to keep going.
Yeah. Well, I think
Not that we need it.
Yeah, even without subscribers, I think we'll still keep going. But it's nice to see that we have people in chat. It's nice to see that we do have people actively subscribing. Me and Dylan were talking about this last night. It's so weird that people would want to dedicate an hour, 2 hours of their day to listen to us ramble just about literally anything, or to watch us play a video game that is just us doing nonsense. Studio Johnny Q, good to see you, buddy. And it truly and honestly, to me, is humbling to think that there are people out there that are willing to listen to us, and it's gratifying at the same time. You know, we don't take you guys for granted, and we hope that you guys don't take us for granted. We really do. We make this content for people to enjoy, and it's nice to see that people enjoy it.
And that's all that really matters. If people out there enjoy listening to us talk, then that's all we need to keep making quality stuff.
Quick reminder, we are going to be playing Vampire the Masquerade Blood Hunt. That's starting to become a pretty big staple on this channel, simply because we're so fucking good at it. We're great at that fucking game.
And
Why?
it's just a fun game to play too.
So
Fun to play on stream.
we're gonna be doing that tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern time. If you've got nothing better to do, come watch us. I also believe that Brutal Richard is going to be doing some streaming tonight as well. He's kind of having an interesting day, so there's no
hopefully
set time
he's
on that.
Feeling better.
Growl in the channel, he streams. I'm gonna actually do some shout outs here while I can. Growl does some streaming. You should check him out. He's a pretty cool guy. He plays my music on his channel every time he starts it, and every time he works out. I made 2 custom songs for him. He really enjoys it, makes me feel good, and watching him work out makes me feel good because I'm helping somebody improve their health. Also in the chat, we've got Studio Johnny Q. And if you don't know who that is, you should know who Studio Johnny Q is. The man does everything far in between, but mostly does art-related stuff. You'll catch him playing Rocksmith from time to time. He does minifigs. He does posters. He does comic books. He does music discussion. The dude is super, super chill. And if you aren't following either of these 2 folks, you absolutely should. They have stream times early morning. They've got stream times late at night. You know, you'll never have a boring, empty day if you keep these guys within your watch schedule. We have a great community. The people around us are super awesome. And I'm just lucky enough that I've been able to create these relationships with these guys and help them grow as much as they help me grow. In the words of Brutal Richard, networking. That's not why I do it, though. It's just you make friends along the way and you help each other out, and that's what friendship is for. Can't confirm, salty little bitch. With that being said, we are going to do a quick raid. Let's see who is available. I am seeing somebody play Resident Evil 4, so I would like to raid into them.
Oh yeah, the Resident Evil 4 remake looks amazing. And it's not, you can get it for like $40, I think, on sale. There's like discounts and stuff for it. So if you haven't played Resident Evil 4, I highly recommend that.
Well, never mind. We're not going to raid into them. They've got their chat set to follower subscriber only, which is...
That's lame.
Lame. So, I don't know if that's actually lame. But we've got someone playing Dead by Daylight, so we'll watch that. That's kind of good, and sorry if this is annoying to folks. But I always like to move the channel over to somebody who doesn't have a super ton of followers who are playing a game and doing their thing. Yeah, followers fine if people are getting harassed. I get it. All that good jazz. So we are getting ready to close out here. Once again, when you go over to the raid channel, say hi, interact with them a little bit. If you're feeling like it, you could also click their name and go onto their actual channel. That gives them an actual higher viewer count when it comes to the analytics, and it can help people with their affiliate progress or with their partner progress, and it means a lot to us when you do that. And if you're so willing and kind, throw them a follow. With that being said, thanks.